notice that emotions can sometimes feel like a subtle pressure resting on the shoulders, a gentle accumulation that builds over time without much fanfare, perhaps from small daily interactions or lingering thoughts that echo softly in the background. Psychologists suggest this sensation arises when feelings aren't fully acknowledged, allowing them to layer quietly like fallen leaves in autumn, each one adding a faint density to the inner world. It's as if the mind holds on to these moments, weaving them into a tapestry that's not quite visible, but palpably there, influencing how one moves through the day with a slightly slower step. Some find that this weight eases when they pause to breathe deeply, letting the air circulate through those hidden spaces, softening the edges of what was once tightly held. Others observe that sharing a quiet word with a trusted friend can redistribute this load, making it feel less concentrated in one spot. In quieter moments, the body might signal this through a sigh or a loosening of muscles, hinting that release comes not from force, but from gentle allowance. Over time, this emotional layering might shift, becoming lighter as awareness drifts in like a soft mist, dissolving what no longer needs to cling so closely. At times, the heart seems to carry an unspoken heaviness, like a river stone smoothed by constant flow, where past joys and sorrows intermingle without clear boundaries, creating a balanced yet noticeable presence within. Many experience this as a quiet companion during solitary evenings, when reflections surface unbidden, reminding one of connections that have shaped the self in subtle ways. Psychologists often point out that such weight isn't always burdensome, but can serve as a quiet anchor, grounding thoughts amid life's fleeting changes. It's common to feel this in the chest, a mild compression that invites introspection without demand, perhaps encouraging a turn toward nurturing habits like a warm cup of tea or a walk under starlit skies. As days unfold, this emotional density might evolve, influenced by small acts of kindness received or given, which act like gentle winds dispersing clouds. Some notice that dreams weave through this, untangling threads overnight in ways that feel almost magical, yet entirely natural. Gradually, the mind learns to hold this weight with more ease, transforming it into a soft wisdom that informs without overwhelming, allowing space for new feelings to emerge lightly. There are instances where unresolved feelings linger like a faint shadow trailing behind, not dark or ominous, but simply there, adding a subtle depth to everyday perceptions that many quietly acknowledge. Psychologists suggest this stems from the way emotions attach to memories, creating a soft web that connects experiences across time, sometimes making the present feel slightly denser with echoes of what came before. It's as if the soul collects these imprints, holding them in a quiet repository where they influence moods without announcement. People often find relief in simple rituals, like journaling in dim light, where words flow out and lighten the internal load imperceptibly. Others sense this weight lifting during moments of laughter shared with others, as if joy acts as a counterbalance, easing the pull downward. In the stillness of night, the body might release this through relaxed breaths, allowing the emotional residue to dissipate like morning dew under gentle sun. Over prolonged periods, this accumulation teaches resilience, showing how the psyche adapts by redistributing what feels heavy into manageable whispers that blend into the background of consciousness. Sometimes, the accumulation of cares manifests as a mild undercurrent in thoughts, like the slow ripple of water over pebbles, where each worry or affection contributes to a collective sense that many carry without fully naming. Psychologists observe that this emotional layering often builds from empathy extended to others, absorbing fragments of their stories into one's own, creating a shared but personal weight that fosters deeper connections. It's common to feel this in quieter hours, when the mind wanders freely, brushing against these stored sentiments like leaves rustling in a breeze. Some discover that nature's rhythms help alleviate this, with walks in forests or by seas providing a natural diffusion, as if the vastness outside mirrors and expands the space within. Others note that creative pursuits, like drawing or humming tunes, allow this density to express itself softly, transforming potential heaviness into flowing forms. As life progresses, this weight might integrate more seamlessly, becoming part of the emotional landscape rather than a separate burden, offering insights that emerge gently without effort. In reflective moods, feelings can settle like fine dust on forgotten shelves, accumulating a soft layer that influences perspectives in understated ways, as many have come to recognize over time. Psychologists propose that this occurs when daily stresses intermingle with deeper longings, forming a composite that's felt more in the body than articulated in words, perhaps as a subtle tension in the back or a sigh at day's end. It's as though the inner self archives these elements, holding them in reserve until moments of calm allow for gradual release. People frequently experience easing through mindfulness, where focusing on the present breath creates openings for this weight to seep away unnoticed. Some find solace in routine comforts, like wrapping in a familiar blanket, which symbolically lightens the emotional hold. During transitions in life, this accumulation might shift, revealing how adaptability turns what was dense into something more fluid and navigable. Ultimately, the psyche's capacity to bear this with grace highlights its inherent strength, allowing emotions to flow rather than stagnate. Occasionally, the residue of interactions leaves a lingering essence, like the afterglow of sunset hues fading into dusk, where joys and pains blend into a neutral tone that many sense without disturbance. Psychologists indicate this emotional residue builds from relational dynamics, where giving and receiving create an invisible balance sheet felt in the heart's quiet chambers. It's often noticed in solitude, when thoughts circle back to conversations or gestures, adding layers that enrich rather than encumber if allowed to settle naturally. Individuals might alleviate this through self-compassion, speaking kindly inwardly as one would to a dear companion, softening the edges of accumulated sentiments. Others observe that physical movement, like gentle stretching, helps disperse this, aligning body and mind in harmonious release. As seasons change, so too does this weight, adapting to new circumstances with a resilience that's innate yet profound. In this way, emotional weight becomes a teacher of sorts, guiding toward equilibrium without overt lessons. There exists a subtle gravity to inner experiences, pulling gently on the threads of awareness, where accumulated sentiments form a backdrop that's palpable yet not insistent, as many quietly perceive. Psychologists suggest this gravity emerges from the interplay of hopes and disappointments, weaving a fabric that's worn close to the spirit without constriction. It's akin to carrying a satchel of keepsakes, each adding slight heft but also value to the journey. Some find that meditation invites lightness, with each exhale carrying away a fraction of this load into the ether. Others note the benefit of immersing in stories or music, where external narratives provide outlets for internal weights to resonate and fade. Overextended reflections, this emotional pull might lessen, revealing spaces for renewal and fresh perspectives to bloom softly. At certain junctures, the soul feels the imprint of life's textures, like imprints in soft clay that harden subtly over time, contributing to a sense of depth that many embrace as part of being. Psychologists observe that such imprints arise from vulnerability shared, creating bonds that, while strengthening, add a measured weight to navigate. It's common to sense this during quiet evenings, when reminiscences surface like bubbles in still water, inviting gentle acknowledgement. People often discover release in artistic expression, where colors or words externalize the internal, lightening the hold. Some experience this easing through connections with nature, as if Earth's vastness absorbs and redistributes personal densities. As awareness grows, this weight transforms, becoming a foundation rather than a load, supporting growth with quiet assurance. Emotions sometimes echo like distant waves lapping at shores, building a rhythmic presence that's felt in the core, where layers of care accumulate without fanfare, as observed by many in introspective times. Psychologists point to this as a natural response to life's interconnections, fostering empathy that, while enriching, requires occasional tending to maintain balance. It's as if the heart expands to hold more, yet seeks ways to ventilate through simple joys like sunlight on skin or shared smiles. Individuals might find solace in routines that promote flow, such as gardening, where nurturing outward mirrors inner care. Over time, this emotional echo softens, integrating into the self's narrative with grace and minimal effort. In the quiet unfolding of days, sentiments can gather like mist in valleys, creating a diffused heaviness that's more atmospheric than solid, allowing many to move through it with ease. Psychologists suggest this mist forms from unspoken aspirations and releases, blending into a whole that's sensed intuitively. It's often lightened by acts of forgiveness, directed inward or out, dissolving densities like sun-piercing fog. Some notice benefits from communal activities, where collective energy shares the load perceptibly. As perspectives shift, this emotional atmosphere clears, revealing clearer paths forward without deliberate push. Feelings occasionally drift like unseen currents beneath calm waters, where layers of concern build a subtle depth that many sense in moments of pause, adding a gentle pull to the flow of thoughts without causing ripples on the surface. Psychologists observe that this undercurrent often stems from anticipated changes, where the mind holds onto possibilities yet to unfold, creating an internal reservoir that's felt more as a quiet fullness than a strain. It's as if the spirit anticipates the weight of what might come, preparing softly by integrating these elements into daily rhythms. Some find this eases through visualization, imagining the current carrying away excess as one watches from a distant shore. Others experience relief in rhythmic activities, like swaying to soft music, which aligns the inner flow with external harmony. Over extended periods, this emotional depth might reveal hidden strengths, showing how the psyche navigates with innate grace, allowing the current to meander without obstruction, fostering a sense of continuity amid life's subtle shifts. There are times when inner burdens resemble the soft stacking of clouds on a horizon, accumulating without storm, where each layer of sentiment contributes to a vast yet intangible presence that many carry lightly through their days. Psychologists suggest this cloud-like formation arises from blended affections and regrets, merging into a formation that's observed from afar within the self, influencing outlooks with a diffused softness. It's common to feel this during transitional phases, when the mind surveys the landscape of experiences, noting the subtle buildup without alarm. Individuals often discover dissipation through gratitude practices, where noting small beauties acts like sunlight warming the air, encouraging evaporation. Some note the value of solitude in nature, where open skies mirror and expand internal expanses, lightening the accumulation imperceptibly. As awareness lingers, this emotional stacking evolves, becoming less dense as elements disperse naturally, inviting clearer vistas to emerge in their place. Sometimes, the essence of cares lingers like dew on morning grass, forming a delicate film that's felt in the early hours, where accumulated emotions create a fresh, yet weighted start that many acknowledge with quiet acceptance. Psychologists point out that this dewy quality often comes from overnight reflections, where the subconscious processes daily intakes, leaving a residue that's refreshing in its honesty if allowed to dry under gentle light. It's as though the heart collects these droplets, holding them until dawn's warmth invites release without effort. People frequently find this lifting through morning rituals, like sipping herbal infusions while watching light spread, which symbolizes and aids in evaporation. Others sense benefits from light movement, such as stretching toward the sun, aligning body with the day's promise. In ongoing cycles, this emotional dew teaches adaptability, transforming potential heaviness into nourishing moisture that supports growth subtly over time. In certain reflections, sentiments settle like fine grains in an hourglass, slowly building a base that's sensed in the passage of moments, where each particle of feeling adds to a foundation that many navigate with steady poise. Psychologists observe this settling as a natural ordering of priorities, where joys and challenges sift together, creating stability amid flux without rigid structure. It's often noticed in contemplative evenings, when the mind reviews the day's flow, appreciating the gradual accumulation as part of life's rhythm. Some alleviate this through mindful pauses, allowing the grains to shift with each breath, preventing compaction. Others find ease in creative outlets, like sketching abstract forms, which externalize the internal buildup softly. As durations extend, this emotional settling integrates, offering a grounded perspective that balances without confinement, allowing new grains to fall lightly. Occasionally, the accumulation of inner tones feels like the blending of colors in twilight skies, where hues of emotion merge into a spectrum that's palpable yet transitional, as many perceive in winding down hours. Psychologists suggest this blending occurs from interpersonal exchanges, absorbing shades from others' palettes into one's own, enriching the inner view with varied depths. It's akin to a canvas that evolves, holding layers that influence without dominance. Individuals might lighten this through empathetic listening, where understanding shared stories diffuses concentrated tones. Some experience harmony in ambient sounds, like rain pattering, which washes over and softens the blend. Over progressive phases, this emotional spectrum adjusts, revealing nuances that enhance rather than weigh, fostering a balanced palette for future strokes. There exists a gentle compression of feelings, like pages in a well-read book, where each chapter of experience adds thickness that's felt in the handling of daily narratives, as many quietly note. Psychologists indicate this compression builds from accumulated insights, pressing wisdom into compact forms that support without overwhelming the story's flow. It's common to sense this during rereads of personal history, when turning pages evokes a familiar density. People often find release in sharing excerpts, conversing lightly to air out the bindings. Others note benefits from physical unwinding, like massages that mirror emotional loosening. As tales continue, this weight becomes integral, providing depth to the plot without halting progression. At intervals, emotional residues echo like faint melodies in memory, lingering in the background score of life, where harmonies of past notes create a subtle resonance that many attune to softly. Psychologists propose this resonance stems from unresolved chords, vibrating gently until integrated into the ongoing composition. It's as if the soul's orchestra holds these tones, allowing them to fade or resolve naturally. Some discover attunement through humming personal tunes, aligning inner vibrations with outer peace. Others sense easing in silence, where pauses let echoes dissipate. In sustained listening, this emotional melody refines, becoming a subtle accompaniment rather than a lead. In the subtle weave of days, cares can intertwine like threads in fabric, forming a texture that's tangible yet flexible, where each strand of sentiment contributes to durability that many wear with ease. Psychologists observe this weaving from relational bonds, interlacing strengths and vulnerabilities into a cohesive whole. It's often felt in social fabrics when connections pull gently. Individuals might smooth this through mending acts, like apologies that realign threads. Some find comfort in tactile pursuits, knitting or weaving literally to symbolize inner work. As patterns emerge, this emotional texture softens, offering warmth without constriction. Sometimes, the buildup of inner whispers resembles leaves in a quiet forest floor, layering softly over seasons, creating a cushion that's sensed underfoot in life's path, as many traverse mindfully. Psychologists suggest this layering nurtures growth, decomposing old leaves into fertile ground for new sprouts. It's akin to nature's cycle, holding weight that transforms. People frequently aerate this through walks in actual woods, mirroring internal clearing. Others note renewal in seasonal reflections, embracing change. Over cycles, this emotional bed enriches, supporting steps with resilient give. Feelings can pool like rain in shallow basins, collecting a reflective surface that's calm yet containing, where depths of emotion gather without overflow, as many observe in still moments. Psychologists point to this pooling from emotional rains, allowing containment until evaporation or absorption. It's as though the mind's terrain directs these waters, preventing floods. Some facilitate flow through channeling thoughts, like streams of writing. Others experience drying in sunny dispositions, inviting warmth. As weather shifts, this pool integrates, mirroring skies with clearer depths. Inner landscapes sometimes hold sentiments like vines gently climbing ancient walls, where each tendril of feeling extends and intertwines, creating a living cover that's sensed in the structure of daily thoughts without crumbling the foundation. Psychologists note that this vine-like growth often sprouts from nurtured relationships, absorbing nutrients from shared vulnerabilities that add a organic density over time. It's as if the self's architecture accommodates this, allowing the vines to provide shade and texture rather than obstruction. Many find this eases through pruning moments, like reflective walks that trim excess without harm. Others observe benefits from exposure to new environments, where fresh air encourages natural detachment of overgrown parts. In evolving seasons, this emotional entanglement might loosen, revealing the wall's original form enhanced by the patterns left behind, fostering a sense of enriched stability that supports without confining, inviting continued growth in open spaces. There are phases where emotions reverberate like soft echoes in a vast canyon, bouncing faintly off inner walls, where accumulated calls build a resonant chamber that's felt in contemplative silences without amplifying to noise. Psychologists suggest this echoing arises from pivotal life events, sending out waves that linger and interact, creating a harmonious depth in the psyche's expanse. It's common to experience this during solitary retreats, when the mind listens to the fading returns, appreciating their subtle contributions to understanding. Some alleviate the resonance through vocal expressi, ons like singing softly to blend with the echoes. Others note harmony in group settings, where collective voices absorb and diffuse individual ones. As echoes persist, they might soften into background ambience, transforming potential isolation into a connective acoustic that enriches without overwhelming, allowing clearer calls to emerge anew. At moments, feelings layer like petals in a blooming flower, each unfolding adding to collective softness that's palpable in the heart's garden, where sense of joy and melancholy intermingle without wilting the whole. Psychologists observe this pedaling from personal evolutions, where growth phases contribute layers that protect and beautify the core. It's akin to nature's design, holding weight in delicate balance. Individuals often nurture this through tending practices, like meditative breathing that encourages gentle shedding. Some find renewal in aromatic therapies, evoking senses to lighten petal loads. Over blooming cycles, this emotional layering matures, with outer petals falling to make way for inner buds, sustaining vitality without excess accumulation. Sometimes the gathering of cares resembles shadows stretching in fading light, elongating across inner terrains, where each extension adds a cooling presence that's noticed in twilight reflections without darkening the view entirely. Psychologists point to this shadowing from daily transitions, casting long forms that blend with the landscape's contours. It's often sensed at day's close, when outlines soften into night. People frequently shorten these through illumination techniques, like journaling under lamp glow to define edges. Others experience contraction in restful poses, aligning with natural shortening. As lights cycle, this emotional stretch adapts, providing contrast that defines highlights without permanence. In quiet accumulations, sentiments collect like snowflakes on evergreen boughs, blanketing branches softly, where each crystal contributes to a hushed whiteness that's felt in wintry introspections without snapping the support. Psychologists suggest this flaking builds from serene acceptances, insulating the self against chillier winds. It's as though the tree of mind welcomes this cover, holding it until spring's thaw. Many melt this through warming rituals, like fireside contemplations that evaporate layers gradually. Others note easing in snowy play, dispersing flakes lightly. In seasonal turns, this weight thaws, nourishing roots for renewed sprouting without residue. There exists a rippling of emotions, like concentric circles from tossed pebbles in a still pond, where multiple impacts create overlapping waves that sensed in fluid thoughts without disturbing the depths. Psychologists indicate this rippling from varied influences, propagating outward in calm expansion. It's common in meditative states, observing patterns dissolve. Some calm the surface through pebble skipping games, symbolizing controlled release. Others find stillness in aquatic immersions, sinking with water's flow. As ripples intersect, they harmonize, fading into tranquility that refreshes without trace. Occasionally, inner weights form like bubbles in effervescent streams, rising and clustering at the top, where gaseous sentiments create a fizzy lightness that's paradoxically grounding in its buoyancy. Psychologists observe this bubbling from effusive interactions, generating uplift that accumulates surface tension. It's felt in bubbly moods, when effervescence tickles awareness. Individuals might pop these through laughter bursts, releasing clusters joyfully. Some sense balance in carbonated sips, mirroring internal dynamics. Over fizzing periods, this emotional bubble stabilizes, integrating sparkle without overflow. At certain depths, feelings shift like sands in desert dunes, undulating under winds, where grains of experience mound subtly that's navigated in nomadic thoughts without fixation. Psychologists propose this shifting from adaptive changes, reshaping forms resiliently. It's akin to arid journeys, holding weight in mobile grace. People often traverse this through exploratory wanders, realigning crests. Others note steadiness in anchoring points, like oases of calm. As winds vary, this dune reforms, offering vistas anew without erosion. In harmonic blends, emotions chord like notes in musical progressions, sustaining vibrations, where layered tones create resonance that's heard in soulful listens without dissonance. Psychologists suggest this chording from symphonic lives, composing depth through intervals. It's often tuned in melodic hums, adjusting pitches softly. Some refine through instrumental plays, harmonizing elements. Others experience unity in choral joins, blending voices. In compositional flows, this weight orchestrates, enriching scores without finale. There are gatherings where cares crystallize like frost on window panes, forming intricate patterns, where icy sentiments add a cries, telling chill that's viewed in frosty mornings without shattering glass. Psychologists point to this frosting from cooler reflections, etching designs temporarily. It's as if panes hold this beauty, melting with warmth. Many thaw through heated gazes, dissolving lattices. Others find clarity in wiping gestures, clearing views. As temperatures rise, this emotional frost evaporates, leaving transparency renewed. Sentiments occasionally nestle like roots delving deeper into fertile soil, where each extension of feeling anchors and nourishes, creating an underground network that's sensed in the stability of inner grounds without uprooting the surface. Psychologists note that this rooting often develops from foundational beliefs, drawing sustenance from past affirmations that add a supportive density over years. It's as if the psyche's garden relies on these for resilience, allowing them to spread subtly in response to life's nutrients. Many find this balances through cultivation practices, like affirmations that encourage healthy branching. Others observe benefits from grounding exercises, pressing feet to earth to mirror internal connections. In maturing phases, this emotional rooting strengthens, providing sustenance that prevents erosion during storms, fostering a sense of deep-seated calm that sustains without visibility, inviting surface blooms to flourish unhindered. There are intervals when emotions swell like waves approaching a shore, building crests that roll inward, where accumulated surges create a rhythmic push that's felt in coastal thoughts without crashing violently. Psychologists suggest this swelling stems from tidal influences of change, pulling and releasing in natural cycles that layer depth along the mind's edge. It's common to experience this during ebb times, when retreats allow waves to recede gently. Some temper the build through shoreline strolls, pacing with the water's rhythm to synchronize inner tides. Others note equilibrium in breathing patterns that mimic wave undulations, easing peaks. As lunar pulls vary, this emotional swell adapts, carving bays of understanding without permanent alteration, allowing smoother sands for future flows. At certain points, feelings cushion like feathers within a downy pillow, compressing softly under rest, where each plume of sentiment adds plushness that's embraced in slumbering reflections without flattening entirely. Psychologists observe this feathering from comforting accumulations, gathering lightness that supports the head's weight tenderly. It's akin to bedtime preparations, holding forms that yield yet rebound. Individuals often fluff this through shaking routines, redistributing clusters for even comfort. Some find renewal in plush embraces, hugging softness to realign internal fill. Over resting spells, this emotional cushion reforms, offering resilient support that cradles without confinement, promoting peaceful drifts into repose. Sometimes, the diffusion of cares resembles ink dispersing in clear water, swirling tendrils that blend hues, where droplets of emotion create clouded depths that's viewed in fluid meditations without staining permanence. Psychologists point to this inking from introspective releases, allowing colors to mix and dilute naturally. It's often noticed in stirring moments when agitations accelerate spread. People frequently clarify this through filtration thoughts, straining out denser pigments. Others experience purity in still waits, letting settlement occur. As mixtures evolve, this emotional ink integrates, tinting perspectives subtly without opacity, fostering translucent insights anew. In stellar arrays, sentiments sparkle like stars across a nocturnal canvas, pinpointing lights that accumulate vastness, where each glimmer of feeling adds to cosmic weight that's pondered in stargazing silences without dimming the void. Psychologists suggest this starring arises from aspirational mappings, connecting dots into constellations of meaning. It's as though the night's dome holds these eternally influencing navigations. Many align this through telescope focuses, zooming on clusters to appreciate distances. Others note wonder in meteor watches, releasing transients. In orbital paths, this emotional array persists, guiding without gravitational pull, illuminating paths softly. There exists a swaying of emotions, like branches bending in breezes, flexing with gusts, where limbs of sentiment create flexible resistance that's felt in arboreal awarenesses without breaking. Psychologists indicate this branching from environmental adaptations, extending outreach that sways collectively. It's common in windy contemplations when movements harmonize. Some strengthen through supportive ties, binding loosely for mutual hold. Others find poise in pruning winds, shedding excess. As airs shift, this emotional sway endures, providing shade and fruit without rigidity, encouraging supple growth. Occasionally, inner lodes drip lick, raindrops clinging to foliage, beating surfaces, where each globule of care adds moisture that's sensed in verdant pauses without drenching. Psychologists observe this dripping from atmospheric condensations, forming pearls that nourish subtly. It's akin to post-rain freshness, holding potential evaporation. Individuals might shake this through gentle taps, dislodging accumulations. Some absorb in leafy soaks, integrating drops. Over weather patterns, this emotional bead evaporates, refreshing canopies without flood, sustaining life cycles. At depths, feelings hollow like caverns carved by streams, echoing voids that fill gradually, where erosions of time create spacious weights that's explored in subterranean thoughts without collapse. Psychologists propose this hollowing from persistent flows, shaping interiors resiliently. It's often ventured in echoic silences, mapping chambers. People frequently illuminate this through lantern guides, revealing contours. Others note expansion in echo calls, filling spaces sonically. In geological spans, this emotional cavern deepens, offering shelters without enclosure, harboring mysteries gently. In folded layers, sentiments pleat like fabric in garments, creasing textures, where each fold of emotion adds dimension that's worn in daily drapes without restricting movement. Psychologists suggest this pleating from habitual folds, tailoring fits over wear. It's as if wardrobes hold these designs, influencing styles. Many iron this through smoothing presses, easing wrinkles. Others find fit in tailoring adjustments, reshaping lines. As fashions change, this emotional pleat adapts, providing elegance without stiffness, clothing expressions fluidly. There are stratifications where care stack like geological strata in mountains, compressing eras, where bands of feeling create elevated masses that's climbed in peak pursuits without summit pressure. Psychologists point to this stratifying from historical deposits, layering resilience upward. It's common in ascent views, appreciating heights. Some erode this through weathering exposures, softening edges. Others experience vistas in plateau rests, balancing loads. As uplifts occur, this emotional mountain stabilizes, offering panoramic wisdom without avalanche. Emotions at times weave like threads in a vast tapestry, interlacing patterns across the fabric of being, where each knot of sentiment adds intricate detail that's sensed in the overall weave without unraveling the whole. Psychologists note that this threading often emerges from narrative strands of life, connecting episodes into a cohesive design that holds subtle tension. It's as if the loom of mind operates steadily, incorporating colors of experience to create depth. Many find this loosens through unraveling sessions, like therapy talks that gently pull at loose ends. Others observe smoothing in artistic weaves, crafting parallels that release binds. In unfolding designs, this emotional weave expands, allowing motifs to blend without tangles, promoting a flexible canvas for ongoing stories. There are accumulations where feelings mound like clay on a potter's wheel, shaping forms under rotation, where layers of emotion build contours that's molded in creative spins without hardening prematurely. Psychologists suggest this mounding from pliable responses, centering balance amid centrifugal forces. It's common in shaping phases, when hands guide the rise. Some center this through steady turns, breathing into the process for even rise. Others note refinement in glazing thoughts, sealing surfaces softly. As wheels turn, this emotional mound forms vessels, holding capacities without cracks, offering functional art in daily holds. In luminous shifts, sentiments glow like embers in a dying fire, banking heat gradually, where coals of care create a warm persistence that's kindled in hearth reflections without flaring up. Psychologists observe this glowing from sustained fuels, preserving essence through ashes. It's akin to evening vigils, watching fades. Individuals might stir this through poker prods, redistributing warmth. Some find containment in ash sweeps, clearing residues. Over smoldering nights, this emotional ember dims, transferring energy to new kindlings without extinction, sustaining subtle comforts. Sometimes, inner burdens cascade like waterfalls over cliffs, flowing downward in streams, where volumes of feeling create misty veils that's traversed in riverside wanders without dousing entirely. Psychologists point to this cascading from elevated sources, channeling through gorges naturally. It's often heard in rushing sounds, echoing drops. People frequently harness this through dammed thoughts, controlling flows. Others experience mist in spray encounters, refreshing auras. As waters course, this emotional cascade pools below, nourishing valleys without flood, carving paths enduringly. At horizons, emotions stretch like sunbeams piercing dawn clouds, elongating. Reaches where rays of sentiment add illuminating lengths that's warmed in morning awakenings without blinding glare. Psychologists indicate this stretching from rising origins, dispersing across skies. It's as though atmospheres filter these, softening intensities. Many bask in this through eastward gazes, absorbing extensions. Others note diffusion in prism plays, refracting beams. In diurnal arcs, this emotional stretch peaks midday, then retracts gently, painting twilights without loss, fostering cyclical renewals. There exists a bubbling of cares, like springs emerging from earth, welling up freshness, where sources of emotion create upward pressures that's quenched in fountain sips without overflowing banks. Psychologists suggest this bubbling from subterranean reservoirs, surfacing pure amidst sediments. It's common in oasis finds, tasting clarity. Some cap this through vessel collections, containing surges. Others find flow in channel digs, directing streams. As grounds settle, this emotional spring sustains, hydrating landscapes without depletion, inviting perennial visits. Occasionally, feelings cluster like berries on brambles, ripening in bunches, where fruits of sentiment add juicy weights that's harvested in thorny picks without pricking deeply. Psychologists observe this clustering from vine maturations, concentrating sweetness amid leaves. It's akin to seasonal gatherings, plucking yields. Individuals might preserve this through jam makings, transforming clusters. Some sense tartness in bite tests, balancing flavors. Over fruiting times, this emotional berry ripens further, dropping seeds for regrowth without waste, enriching soils subtly. In melodic flows, sentiments hum like winds through chimes, tinkling tones, where breezes of emotion create hanging resonances that's tuned in garden listens without clanging harshly. Psychologists propose this humming from suspended harmonies, vibrating in airs. It's often swayed in gusty moments, chiming softly. People frequently adjust this through rod alignments, fine-tuning pitches. Others note silence in still calms, resting notes. As weathers pass, this emotional hum composes symphonies, blending with ambiances without discord, orchestrating peaceful airs. At canopies, emotions leaf out like foliage in treetops, spreading coverage, where branches of feeling add verdant densities that's shaded in forest roofs without blocking lights entirely. Psychologists point to this leafing from upward aspirations, photosynthesizing energies. It's as if crowns hold these expanses, filtering suns. Many prune this through selective clips, lightening loads. Others experience rustle in leafy whispers, animating spaces. In arboreal heights, this emotional canopy protects understories, cycling nutrients without fall, sustaining ecosystems gently. There are veilings where cares shimmer like auroras in polar skies, dancing lights, where curtains of sentiment add ethereal glows that's witnessed in northern gazes without fading darkness. Psychologists suggest this veiling from magnetic interactions, illuminating nights. It's common in chill vigils, marveling displays. Some capture this through lens frames, preserving dances. Others find rhythm in wave follows, syncing pulses. As poles align, this emotional shimmer varies intensities, coloring horizons without permanence, inspiring wonder eternally. Inner realms occasionally harbor sentiments like veils draped over ancient mirrors, softly obscuring reflections, where each layer of emotion adds a muted opacity that's glimpsed in introspective gazes without fully concealing the self. Psychologists note that this veiling often unfolds from protective instincts, folding fabrics of caution around vulnerabilities to create a buffered presence. It's as if the glass of awareness holds these coverings, allowing light to filter through in diffused patterns. Many find this lifts through unveiling rituals, like confessional whispers that peel back edges gently. Others observe clarity in mirrored meditations, polishing surfaces to reduce folds. In veiled evolutions, this emotional drapery thins, revealing contours with enhanced definition without abrupt exposure, fostering a sense of safe-guarded revelation that invites deeper self-views. There are drifts where feelings accumulate like pollen on blooming fields, dusting surfaces lightly, where grains of sentiment create a fertile coating that's sensed in seasonal allergies without overwhelming the bloom. Psychologists suggest this pollinating stems from interactive spreads, transferring essences across encounters to build subtle irritants or enrichments. It's common in flowery contemplations when breezes carry loads. Some alleviate this through rinsing thoughts, washing away excesses with mental streams. Others note fertilization in growth accepts, embracing transfers. As cycles pollinate, this emotional dust settles into soils, germinating ideas without clog, promoting verdant expansio. At thresholds, Emotions threshold like doors in hallways, hinging openings, where panels of feeling add swinging masses that's navigated in passage transitions without jamming frames. Psychologists observe this hinging from decisional pivots, balancing pushes and pulls in access ways. It's akin to architectural flows, holding entries. Individuals might oil this through lubricant affirmations, smoothing swings. Some find passage in key turns, unlocking latches. Over corridor walks, this emotional door aligns, facilitating entries without barrier, easing traversals softly. Sometimes inner cares crystallize like sugar in syrups, forming sweet densities, where molecules of sentiment add viscous thicknesses that's stirred in culinary musings without solidifying hard. Psychologists point to this sugaring from concentrated brews, simmering reductions that enhance flavors. It's often tasted in dessert preparations, savoring builds. People frequently dissolve this through diluting sips, thinning consistencies. Others experience melt in heat applications, liquefying clumps. As pots simmer, this emotional crystal sweetens, blending into mixtures without grit, offering palatable depths. In ethereal floats, sentiments hover like clouds in atmospheres, drifting altitudes, where vapors of emotion create floating condensations that's observed in skyward dreams without precipitating storms. Psychologists indicate this hovering from buoyant lifts, suspending weights in airy realms. It's as though heavens cradle these formations, influencing weathers. Many navigate this through wind rides, guiding drifts. Others note dissolution in solar evaporations, lightening masses. In climatic layers, this emotional cloud migrates, shaping climates without downpour, inspiring lofty perspectives. There exists a coiling of feelings, like springs in mechanisms, compressing potentials, where coils of sentiment add stored energies that's released in kinetic moments without snapping wires. Psychologists suggest this coiling from tension builds, winding responses for timely uncoils. It's common in clockwork introspections, ticking builds. Some unwind this through gradual turns, easing pressures. Others find bounce in jump starts, harnessing stores. As gears mesh, this emotional spring propels, driving motions without fatigue, maintaining rhythmic paces. Occasionally, the buildup of cares mirrors like reflections in ponds, duplicating images, where echoes of emotion add double depths that's pondered in watery stares without rippling distortions. Psychologists observe this mirroring from surface calms, capturing essences in liquid holds. It's akin to natural duplicates, holding parallels. Individuals might skim this through pebble skips, stirring surfaces lightly. Some sense clarity in depth dives, exploring undersides. Over reflective hours, this emotional mirror polishes, clarifying visions without shatter, doubling insights gently. At weaves, emotions interlock like fibers in nets, meshing captures, where strands of sentiment add ensnaring strengths that's cast in fishing analogies without entangling casters. Psychologists propose this netting from connective traps, weaving securities or constraints. It's often hauled in bountiful pulls, netting yields. People frequently mend this through knot repairs, reinforcing links. Others note release in cut frees, liberating holds. In tidal halls, this emotional net gathers, securing harvests without tear, facilitating abundant returns. In sonic layers, sentiments vibrate like strings on instruments, plucking resonances, where chords of feeling add tonal complexities that's played in musical reveries without fraying ends. Psychologists point to this stringing from harmonic tunings, vibrating sympathies across frets. It's as if bodies resonate these, amplifying notes. Many tune this through finger placements, adjusting tensions. Others experience strum in ensemble joins, blending vibes. As scores progress, this emotional string harmonizes, composing melodies without break, enriching auditory landscapes. There are nestings where cares burrow like creatures in dens, hollowing shelters, where tunnels of emotion add subterranean coziness that's inhabited in burrowing rests without collapsing roofs. Psychologists suggest this nesting from instinctual hides, excavating spaces for security. It's common in earthy retreats, snuggling depths. Some expand this through dig extensions, widening rooms. Others find exit in surface peaks, ventilating confines. As habitats form, this emotional burrow secures, providing refuges without isolation, nurturing hidden comforts. Sentiments sometimes flutter like pages in an open book caught by a breeze, turning gently through chapters, where each leaf of emotion adds a whispering turn that's perused in leisurely reads without rushing the plot. Psychologists observe that this paging often arises from narrative curiosities, flipping through recollections that layer intrigue. Softly, it's as if bindings hold these sequences, allowing winds to animate without tearing. Many steady this through bookmark pauses, marking spots for later. Others note calm in cover closes, resting volumes. In story arcs, this emotional flutter settles, unfolding tales at natural paces without hurry, inviting immersive drifts. There are gatherings where feelings cluster like stars and constellations, linking distant points, where patterns of sentiment add celestial mappings that's charted in night sky ponderings without losing the vastness. Psychologists suggest this constellating from connective imaginings, drawing lines between dots of experience. It's common in astral projections, aligning figures. Some trace this through finger points, outlining shapes. Others find space in dark adaptations, expanding views. As rotations occur, this emotional cluster orients, guiding without fixation, sparkling inspirations eternally. At certain veils, emotions mist like fog over meadows, blanketing softly, where vapors of care add dewy hazes that's wandered in early morns without losing paths. Psychologists point to this misting from atmospheric cools, condensing thoughts into visible forms. It's akin to dawn envelops, holding moisture temporarily. Individuals might clear this through sun weights, evaporating shrouds. Some sense lift in breath blows, dispersing wisps. Over light rises, this emotional mist thins, revealing contours without rush, freshening airs gently. Sometimes inner weights balance like scales in equilibria, tipping subtly, where pans of feeling add measured loads that's adjusted in fairness musings without unbalancing beams. Psychologists indicate this balancing from equitable assessments, weighing pros and cons evenly. It's often calibrated in decision ways, fine-tuning. People frequently add this through counter placements, equalizing sides. Others note stability in fulcrum shifts, centering points. As judgments level, this emotional scale steadies, promoting justice without swing, fostering harmonious resolutions. In woven bonds, sentiments tie like knots in ropes, securing holds, where twists of emotion add tensile strength that's pulled in tug efforts without fraying strands. Psychologists observe this knotting from relational fastens, looping securities tightly yet flexibly. It's as though lines entwine these enduring strains. Many tighten this through pull tests, reinforcing grips. Others find slack and loose unties, easing tensions. In lengthening reaches, this emotional knot endures, binding without bind, supporting climbs softly. There exists a pulsing of cares, like heartbeats in rhythms, throbbing steadily, where pulses of sentiment add vital flows that's felt in chest listens without irregular skips. Psychologists suggest this pulsing from life force drives, circulating essences through veins. It's common in quiet auscultations, syncing beats. Some regulate this through breath paces, harmonizing rates. Others experience surge in activity peaks, channeling energies. As cycles beat, this emotional pulse vitalizes, sustaining without exhaustion, animating beings gently. Occasionally, feelings radiate like warmth from hearths, emanating comforts, where fires of emotion add cozy glows that's basked in fireside sits without scorching close. Psychologists propose this radiating from inner fuels, spreading heats outwardly. It's akin to winter warms, holding embers. Individuals might fan this through log ads, sustaining burns. Some find containment in screen guards, tempering spreads. Over flickering nights, this emotional radiate diffuses, warming spaces without consume, inviting shared cozies. At layers, emotions laminate like veneers on woods, overlaying grains, where sheets of sentiment add protective sheens that's polished in craft finishes without masking natures. Psychologists point to this laminating from surface enhancements, bonding durably. It's often buffed in shine rubs, enhancing lusters. People frequently apply this through glue bonds, adhering firmly. Others note peel in edge lifts, separating lightly. As surfaces endure, this emotional laminate protects, beautifying without alter, preserving essences. In fluid merges, sentiments blend like colors in palettes, mixing hues, where dabs of feeling add chromatic depth that's painted in artistic strokes without muddying canvases. Psychologists observe this blending from creative fusions, swirling tones harmoniously. It's as if boards hold these mixtures, inspiring brushes. Many dilute this through water ads, lightening intensities. Others find vibrancy in pure dabs, contrasting fields. Over art sessions, this emotional blend composes, creating masterpieces without clash, evoking visual symphonies. There are echoes where cares resound like calls in valleys, bouncing softly, where waves of emotion add reverberant tones that's heard in echoic returns without fading silences. Psychologists suggest this resounding from vocal project, ions carrying across distances. It's common in canyon shouts, receiving replies. Some modulate this through volume controls, softening booms. Others note absorption in terrain cushions, dampening travels. As sounds propagate, this emotional echo connects, bridging gaps without noise, fostering distant dialogues. Inner spheres at times harbor feelings like whispers in libraries, shelving volumes softly, where tomes of sentiment add archival densities that's browsed in scholarly silences without disturbing stacks. Psychologists note that this shelving often compiles from knowledge pursuits, categorizing entries into ordered rows that hold intellectual heft. It's as if catalogs index these, guiding retrievals without disarray. Many access this through card flips, locating specifics lightly. Others observe organization in Dewey sorts, arranging decimals. In referential turns, this emotional archive preserves, offering references without overload, enriching inquiries subtly. There are veilings where emotions curtain like drapes in theaters, parting stages, where folds of care add scenic backdrops that's unveiled in performance cues without dropping acts. Psychologists suggest this curtaining from dramatic builds, framing scenes with textured hangs. It's common in rehearsal pauses, adjusting hems. Some draw this through chord pulls, revealing views. Others find scene in light spots, illuminating fabrics. Over act progressions, this emotional curtain rises, enhancing dramas without snag, setting tones gracefully. At certain blooms, sentiments unfold like lotuses on ponds, petaling surfaces, where pads of feeling add floating buoyancies that's admired in watery floats without sinking stems. Psychologists observe this unfolding from aquatic nurtures, expanding in sunlit waters. It's akin to serene displays, holding dews. Individuals might pluck this through petal counts, appreciating layers. Some scents rise in root anchors, stabilizing spreads. In pond cycles, this emotional bloom opens, attracting pollinators without wilt, symbolizing purities. Sometimes, inner lodes orbit like planets around suns, gravitational pulls, where masses of emotion add orbital stabilities that's tracked in celestial mechanics without eccentric wobbles. Psychologists point to this orbiting from central attractions, maintaining distances in harmonious spins. It's often charted in star maps, plotting paths. People frequently adjust this through velocity tweaks, balancing forces. Others note eclipse in alignment shadows, temporizing lights. As systems revolve, this emotional orbit sustains, preventing collisions without drift, fostering cosmic orders. In harmonic waves, feelings oscillate like pendulums in clocks swinging arcs, where bobs of sentiment add timed rhythms that's wound in mechanism ticks without halting swings. Psychologists indicate this oscillating from momentum conserves, perpetuating motions through fulcrums. It's as though casings enclose these, measuring hours. Many reset this through chain pulls, restarting cycles. Others find sync in metronome matches, aligning beats. Over time keeps, this emotional pendulum times, marking passages without rush, regulating daily tempos. There exists a filtering of cares, like sieves in streams, catching particles, where meshes of emotion add retentive barriers that's panned in prospector searches without clogging holes. Psychologists suggest this filtering from selective passes, separating valuables from sediments. It's common in gold hunts, shaking trays. Some rinse this through water flows, clearing captures. Others note yield in nugget picks, harvesting finds. In current sifts, this emotional filter refines, purifying without loss, yielding treasures softly. Occasionally, sentiments sculpt like clay under hands, forming shapes, where lumps of feeling add malleable volumes that's thrown on wheels without crumbling forms. Psychologists observe this sculpting from artistic needs, pressing intentions into contours. It's akin to studio creations, holding moistures. Individuals might smooth this through tool strokes, refining edges. Some experience fire in kiln bakes, hardening structures. Over molding sessions, this emotional sculpt solidifies, crafting figures without flaw, embodying visions gently. At depths, emotions cavern like mines in earth's tunneling veins, where shafts of care add excavated hollows that's delved in lantern lights without caving walls. Psychologists propose this caverns from resource quests, following seams downward. It's often propped in timber supports, securing descents. People frequently extract this through pick strikes, loosening oars. Others find vein in map follows, navigating mazes. As digs deepen, this emotional cavern yields, uncovering gems without exhaust, enriching surfaces above. In layered scripts, feelings inscribed like etchings on stones, carving marks, where grooves of sentiment add historical records that's traced in relic rubs without eroding. Bases, psychologists point to this inscribing from narrative chisels, imprinting tales enduringly. It's as if tablets preserve these, defying weathers. Many decipher this through magnifier views, reading lines. Others note preservation in wax seals, protecting scripts. Over epoch spans, this emotional etch endures, telling stories without fade, passing legacies quietly. There are gatherings where cares assemble like pieces in puzzles, fitting edges, where bits of emotion add interlocking complexities that's solved in table spreads without missing boxes. Psychologists suggest this assembling from pattern recognitions, connecting images piecemeal. It's common in jigsaw sessions, placing trials. Some sort this through color groups, organizing chaos. Others find fit in trial flips, matching shapes. As pictures complete, this emotional puzzle reveals, forming wholes without force, satisfying completions softly. Inner terrains sometimes harbor sentiments like echoes in ancient halls, resonating faintly through corridors, where vaults of emotion add architectural depths that's wandered in historical realms without collapsing arches. Psychologists note that this vaulting often forms from heritage legacies, arching supports that bear ancestral loads subtly over generations. It's as if stonework preserves these chambers, echoing footsteps of yore. Many traverse this through guided tour of memory, illuminating nooks with lantern recalls. Others observe stabilization in pillar reinforcements, bolstering spans. In structural evolutions, this emotional vault endures, sheltering treasures without entombment, inviting exploratory ventures softly. There are accumulations where feelings pile like books on bedside tables, stacking casually, where volumes of care add nocturnal companions that's thumbed in late-night flips without toppling piles. Psychologists suggest this piling from reading habits, accumulating insights that rest nearby for easy reach. It's common in dim lamp browses, turning pages leisurely. Some organize this through shelf shifts, redistributing stacks. Others find ease in bookmark inserts, pausing progresses. Over evening perusals, this emotional pile companions, offering stories without insomnia, lulling into slumbers gently. At certain flows, emotions meander like rivers through valleys, carving banks slowly, where currents of sentiment add watery weights that's followed in riparian strolls without eroding shores. Psychologists observe this meandering from natural courses, bending paths that hydrate landscapes. It's akin to scenic winds, holding sediments. Individuals might steer this through ore dips, guiding directions. Some sense calm in bank sits, observing passes. In hydrological cycles, this emotional river nourishes, flooding plains without deluge, sustaining ecosystems quietly. Sometimes, inner burdens nest like eggs in clutches, warming broods, where shells of feeling add fragile protections that's incubated in maternal weights without cracking casings. Psychologists point to this nesting from nurturing instincts, clustering potentials for hatching. It's often guarded in feather linings, cushioning holds. People frequently turn this through gentle rolls, ensuring even heats. Others note emergence in peck breaks, freeing contents. As broods mature, this emotional nest hatches, fledging independence without abandonment, fostering growth wings. In luminous arrays, sentiments sparkle like fireflies in meadows, blinking signals, where lights of emotion add nocturnal twinkles that's chased in summer pursuits without capturing jars. Psychologists indicate this sparkling from bioluminescent calls, attracting mates in darks. It's as though fields host these dances, illuminating briefly. Many admire this through still watches, appreciating flashes. Others find rhythm in sync pulses, harmonizing glows. Over warm eves, this emotional sparkle communicates, drawing connections without trap, enchanting nights softly. There exists a layering of cares, like frostings on cakes, spreading sweetly, where icings of sentiment add decorative thicknesses that's sliced in celebratory shares without melting tears. Psychologists suggest this frosting from confectionery arts, smoothing surfaces with flavorful coats. It's common in bakery displays, tempting tastes. Some pipe this through nozzle designs, patterning swirls. Others experience cut in portion serves, dividing delights. In festive bites, this emotional layer indulges, sweetening occasions without excess, pleasing palates gently. Occasionally, feelings cascade like vines over arbors, draping greens, where tendrils of emotion add shaded canopies that's lounged under in garden rests without overgrowing frames. Psychologists observe this cascading from climbing growths, reaching supports upward. It's akin to pergola covers, providing cools. Individuals might train this through tie guides, directing spreads. Some sense trim in sheer clips, shaping forms. Over leafy sea. Suns, this emotional vine shades, cooling spaces without smother, inviting relaxed sojourns. At certain depths, emotions burrow like roots in gardens, anchoring plants, where fibers of care add subterranean grips that's watered in horticultural tens without uprooting soils. Psychologists propose this burrowing from stability seeks, delving for moistures. It's often fertilized in compost adds, enriching depths. People frequently aerate this through forked turns, loosening compacts. Others note spread in bed expansions, widening reaches. As crops thrive, this emotional root sustains, grounding without bind, nourishing harvests quietly. In woven tales, sentiments thread like yarns in looms, shuttling patterns, where warps of feeling add textile strengths that's woven in craft hours without snagging heddles. Psychologists point to this threading from fabric creations, interlacing wefts durably. It's as if frames hold these designs, producing cloths. Many tension this through beam adjustments, balancing pulls. Others find weave in petal steps, advancing rows. Over loom sessions, this emotional thread fabrics, clothing without seam, draping comfort softly. There are buildups where care stack like bricks in walls, mortaring joints, where blocks of emotion add structural solids that's built in construction phases without crumbling facades. Psychologists suggest this stacking from foundational lays, erecting barriers or shelters. It's common in blueprint follows, aligning levels. Some cement this through trowel spreads, binding units. Others note height in scaffold climbs, extending upwards. As structures rise, this emotional brick fortifies, enclosing without isolation, providing secure abodes. Inner spaces occasionally cradle sentiments like echoes, fading in distant chambers, resonating softly through hidden alcoves, where remnants of emotion add a lingering timbre that's sensed in quiet reveries without amplifying to clamor. Psychologists observe that this chambering often emerges from introspective retreats, enclosing whispers of past encounters that build an acoustic depth within the mind's architecture. It's as if walls absorb these sounds, muffling them into subdued harmonies over time. Many attune to this through ear-pressed listens, discerning subtle notes amid silence. Others note damping in cushion placements, softening rebounds. In acoustic evolutions, this emotional echo mellows, blending into ambient backgrounds without persistence, allowing serene pauses to prevail gently. There are accumulations where feelings gather like petals fallen in garden beds, carpeting grounds lightly, where drifts of care add mulching layers that's trodden in pathway walks without compacting earths. Psychologists suggest this pedaling from seasonal sheddings, decomposing into nutrient enrichments that foster undergrowth. It's common in autumn sweeps, brushing accumulations aside. Some incorporate this through rake gathers, redistributing covers. Others find decay in compost turns, accelerating breakdowns. Over fertile cycles, this emotional petal nourishes, insulating roots without smother, promoting blooming renewals softly. At certain thresholds, emotions hover like thresholds in doorways, framing passages, where lintels of sentiment add transitional arches that's crossed in entry steps without blocking flows. Psychologists point to this thresholding from liminal states, balancing insides and outs with subtle barriers. It's akin to portal guards, holding spaces. Individuals might adorn this through wreath hangs, decorating frames. Some scents open in hinge oils, easing swings. In traversal moments, this emotional threshold invites, facilitating crosses without hesitation, easing journeys quietly. Sometimes inner cares swirl like eddies in streams, circling pools, where vortices of feeling add spinning depth that's observed in bankside stares without pulling undercurrents. Psychologists indicate this swirling from flow disruptions, creating recursive loops that hold particles temporarily. It's often calmed in pebble drops, disrupting spins. People frequently divert this through branch dams, redirecting courses. Others note still in wait observes, allowing settlements. As waters clear, this emotional eddy dissipates, smoothing surfaces without residue, restoring linear flows gently. In luminous veils, sentiments shimmer like moonlight on waters, reflecting silvers, where gleams of emotion add nocturnal sheens that's bathed in evening dips without rippling mirrors. Psychologists observe this shimmering from celestial influences, casting ethereal lights across fluid planes. It's as though nights paint these glows, enhancing visibilities. Many capture this through net scoops, gathering reflections. Others find fade in dawn arrivals, dispersing nights. Over lunar phases, this emotional shimmer wanes, illuminating paths without dazzle, guiding nocturnal navigations softly. There exists a settling of feelings, like sediments in jars layering bottoms, where particles of care add stratified deposits that's shaken in occasional stirs without clouding clears. Psychologists suggest this settling from gravitational pulls, separating densities over still times. It's common in lab views, observing divisions. Some decant this through pore tilts, separating layers. Others note mix in vortex spins, recombining elements. In clarification processes, this emotional sediment stratifies, clarifying uppers without discard, yielding pure essences quietly. Occasionally, emotions weave like strands in braids, intertwining lengths, where plates of sentiment add twisted unities that's combed in grooming routines without tangling locks. Psychologists propose this braiding from cohesive bonds, merging individuals into collectives durably. It's akin to hairstyle arts, holding forms. Individuals might loosen this through finger combs, separating sections. Some scents tie in ribbon binds, securing ends. Over styling sessions, this emotional braid adorns, enhancing appearances without pull, offering elegant holds gently. At depths, inner weights anchor like moorings in harbors, securing vessels, where chains of feeling add steady holds that's adjusted in tide shifts without drifting buoys. Psychologists point to this anchoring from safety seeks, dropping weights to prevent wanders. It's often set in calm bays, fastening ties. People frequently haul this through winch turns, lifting links. Others note float in buoy marks, signaling positions. As seas calm, this emotional anchor stabilizes, harboring without confine, protecting from storms softly. In folded realms, sentiments crease like maps in pockets, marking terrains, where folds of emotion add portable guides that's unfolded in journey plans without tearing papers. Psychologists observe this creasing from navigational folds, compressing worlds into handhelds. It's as if atlases contain these, plotting routes. Many refold this through crease follows, restoring compacts. Others find path in compass pairs, orienting directions. Over travel spans, this emotional map directs, leading without misstep, unfolding adventures quietly. There are buildups where cares condense like dews on webs, beating silks, where droplets of sentiment add glistening weights that's dewed in morning mists without breaking threads. Psychologists suggest this condensing from humid cools, forming jewels on intricate nets. It's common in spider views, admiring designs. Some evaporate this through sun exposures, drying beads. Others note collect in leaf funnels, gathering moistures. As days warm, this emotional dew glistens, adorning without burden, evaporating harmlessly gently.